This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is CJ Beatty. CJ, how's it going? I know we've been working on this for a while, so I'm glad I finally got you on.
I appreciate it, big dog. Yeah, it's been a little minute, but got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, I'm sure. So happy to be on.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just go back in time. What was your like first memory of playing baseball?
First memory of playing baseball just always goes back to T-ball at the very beginning. That's when times in life was a lot easier, especially now. But yeah, that was it's T-ball days for me, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I don't know. Like that's how I picked. Like I grew up in Connecticut, so I'm like a Yankees fan.
Mm-hmm.
But my first team was the Cubs, so like that was like always my second team because I was on the Cubs, so like I was like, the Cubs are my second team. So I was like National League, that Cubs are my team.
Yeah, I guess that's okay given the fact that I was a Cardinals draft pick. We didn't like the Cubs. So even hearing you talk about them kind of makes me cringe, but it is what it is at this point.
That's funny. And I was trying to think. I know we've been setting this up. I don't really remember even how we linked up, but I know we've known each other for a while. Just like just kind of through social media and stuff.
Yeah, I think social media. I can't pinpoint exactly the time, year, date, but definitely it was. It's been some time, but I've been able to see from a bird's eye view. You grow the brand and the different, I guess you would say, lack of better words, subsidiaries underneath the brand and everything like that. But I remember a long time ago, dude. I think it's been over 5 years since I've learned of your brand and what you were looking to accomplish, and to see where it is today it's monumental, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and likewise with you too. Like, because I just remember when you were just starting out. I think it was probably just like when you finished stopped playing baseball. And you were starting your brand and stuff, and it's been dope as well to see like what you've done and all the things you've done, and you do music, and we're gonna get into that stuff, and you do like everything, and then I know you even evolved into getting into softball too, which I think that was major too because I work with women's athletes too, and that's like a field that like is kind of still untapped. It's grown a lot now too.
For sure.
Yeah. So tell me about like. Tell me like a little bit about your baseball career, getting drafted by the Cardinals and things like that.
I was a top baseball player at my little league, and I believed people, so I pursued it. But yeah, I love playing baseball. It grew to be my favorite sport, starting at age 5, going all the way up to AAU, aka travel ball. And excelled at that level. And I just kept wanting more and more. I think by the time I got to 13 years of age, I really understood that I wanted to become a professional baseball player. I wanted that to be my ultimate goal. So I went off to high school, and I knew that I needed to try to make varsity. That was my next goal, to make varsity as a freshman, which I did. Start as a freshman, which I did. And I just kept setting goals, man. And I had 65 letters to go to any school in the country for baseball. I was nationally touted as an outfielder. I chose North Carolina A&T State University, about 25 minutes from my house for obvious reasons. 25 minutes from the house to play D1 baseball and get a full scholarship. Why would you go anywhere else? So I chose North Carolina A&T State University. Excelled in baseball there for 3 years. Cardinals drafted me, and I kickstarted my professional career.
Yeah, what was that like to fulfill your dream and get drafted?
It's everything, man. Even to this day, I can still, I always talk about if I could put it in a bottle and open it up, what that feeling felt like to hear your name called. It's everything that you ever want as a baseball player, as a young athlete wanting to get drafted. Hearing your name is almost like job well done from God. because that's something that you've been. I mean, I was dreaming about getting drafted and calling my name out in stadiums and stuff like that ever since I was 8 or 9 years old. So to actually hear that over the internet feed, St. Louis Cardinals select Christian Beatty out of North Carolina A&T University, dude, it was one of the most slow motion epic days of my life that I can still vividly close my eyes and see. Doritos went everywhere. Like people were like partying and everything. He had a nice little draft party over at the house. So yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, that's dope. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, after COVID, they cut the draft to 6 rounds now.
Uh, I don't know if it's 6 rounds or not, but I know they cut that sucker like down to almost fourth. So yeah, it's something like it's either 6 rounds or I think 10. It's something like that.
So all right, so like for example, like that's not like you got drafted in the 26th round, like that's not even in existence right now. So like
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it's the 20. I think they dropped it at like 20 rounds or something like that. The reason why I say that is still got enough minor league teams where they need players. And I remember quoting this saying, "Dude, I would have just missed getting drafted according to this new rules because I got drafted at 26th round."
yeah, so 2-part question: how crazy is that it got cut because it was 50 rounds, and two, like how much do you think there's going to be missed out on players that could potentially be all-stars or even just like major leaguers for the time being, like even if they're 25th man, like how much of an impact do you think that's going to just in the future or right now, just like how much do you think that's going to I guess burden on some players that may never play minor league baseball?
It's unfair. It's unfortunate. I get it from the business standpoint because it makes perfect sense from business, saving money, those markets and all that stuff. I get that side of it seriously, but it is going to cut the head off of a lot of people's careers because I mean I was a person that fell victim to it. Talent wise, I was not a 26 round draft pick. Talent wise, I was a top 10 round draft pick, but it had a lot to do with the competition that the scout said I was playing in front of that slid me to the 26. So here I am, a top 10 round talent, but because of these new rules, I would have probably went undrafted. I would have went undrafted with these new rules because I got drafted in the 26th round. So there's a lot of people, and if you look back over the previous year's drafts all the way to who's made it to the big leagues and who's had substantial careers. There's a lot of people that's got drafted beyond the 20th round that have done and moved on and done phenomenal things in the game of baseball. So it's going to leave a hole in the game for sure. Where do they go? They're going to dump themselves in the independent ball market and try their hands at getting signed that way as a free agent, trying to get to the international market and try their hand at getting discovered or an opportunity that way. But other than that, there might be some people that's like, if I don't get drafted, dude, I'm hanging them up. I don't feel like chasing the independent market,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I just did some quick research. Yeah, so now there's 20 rounds and 2 extra supplementary rounds, so about 22. And yeah, and then just going into, after you retired and like you said, you played independent ball too. And then what was knowing that you love the game and stuff, how was it like a hard transition to retire from baseball?
No, it wasn't hard for me. I had some help when it came to an injury towards the last part of my career. I knew I had one more season left. What made it easier for my transition more so than anybody else was my motivational speaking career. That was something that I was looking forward to getting in, and I've been pressing, growing it hard in the off season, but having to put it on the back burner for the season. I've been doing that because I started my company in 2013 as a speaker, and I stopped playing in 2015. So for 2 years, I've been not actively growing the brand because of playing minor league baseball. So when I had to make up in my mind, like, am I going to continue to pursue this game? Because every time I pursue the game, I say no to my motivational speaking career, and it's not growing. So whenever that injury happened, I just made that executive decision to say, "Hey, man, this is it." I gave it one good run, one last run at it. My greatest efforts. I accomplished all of my goals. I'm ready to move on. So I had something to transition into. So I think that made it easier for me to make that decision. But do I miss it? The only part that I miss, honestly, Paul, is the is the camaraderie and the BP, the batting practice and the camaraderie with your bros, with your boys, with the team. The outings, going out to eat, going to the bars, going downtown. That, like, doing that with your team. That's those are memories that's very special. It's like a brotherhood, like a fraternity. So you miss those moments. I don't miss the bus rides because it messed up my back. I don't miss I don't miss after those long bus rides. I don't miss none of those things about it. But at times, every spring training, you hear the crack of the wood. You see everybody going down to Florida, going to Arizona. Yeah, I miss that. I miss that build up for baseball.
Yeah, definitely. And then tell me how you created the baseball motivator.
As a motivational speaker, I know I needed to take my speaking to another level, and I was mentored by Tony Gaskins, and he's a relationships speaker. And I had an opportunity to open up for him while I was playing with the White Sox in spring training in Glendale, Arizona. And over dinner, I asked him the question. I said, "Hey, man, how can I get this to be sustainable as far as income goes for me to raise a family, start a family, all this kind of stuff? Right now, the little money that I'm making ain't going to be it for me to sustain a family. Like, it's cool pocket money and it feels great to get it, but it ain't nothing for me to be able to say that this is going to sustain the family." He says, "Well, until you become an expert, deemed an expert in motivational speaking, you got to find that one little niche that somebody will pay you top dollar to talk about." And I thought and thought and thought, and I knew that had to be in baseball, but he said, "Don't stop there. What inside of baseball would somebody come to specifically you to talk about?" And I said, "I have a passion for the mental side of the game. Got a passion for the mental side because it was something that I lacked when I played, and I don't want anybody else to miss it." He said, "Bingo, there you go. That's who you are. Build that out, and that's what people will pay you top dollar for, the mental side of the game of baseball." And so I had to think of a name: motivation, mental, baseball motivations, about the baseball motivator. And that's when I created the baseball motivator brand in 2015, and here I am.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that's perfect. You combine like all the things, and I know you brought up like mental health and stuff, and that definitely wasn't as big as it is now. So like, how has that even like helped you that you kind of started before um, all of it now? Actually, like people, even there's like I guess like a stereotype that people didn't like kind of believe in that, especially like with athletes because they look at them as like superheroes and stuff. So like, how has that I guess helped you because you were ahead of the curve?
I mean, it was good. It was needed back then, but now more so than ever, it's really ramped up because people are more aware. And I feel that is a lot. That has a lot to do with why my brand has evolved and grown and continues to grow because people are becoming more aware of their mental health and more aware of themselves. See, mental health is being in touch with who you are. And running away from it is not good for you. Everybody deals with some sort of mental health. So everybody does. If you don't know, then you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So put your nose in a book, put your fingers on the keyboard, and get to know who you truly are.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then like tell me about like like you said you started in 2015, so give me like a little timeline of like how you start, like not how you started but like where you started and now like where you at today, like even like you just said the guy Tony gave you advice and then you took it and ran with it. Like how has your business grown since 2015?
I mean, shoot, it's been crazy, dude. I mean, it's I mean, I guess I could just start rattling off stuff. But in 2015, I was the baseball motivator, right? And I ran that to the point where it started running itself. I ran it for 3 years, and people were starting to hit me up. I didn't have to reach out for any more speaking engagements because people reached out for me to come speak. I was doing camps and clinics. My YouTube videos got pretty big at that particular time. So then that was kind of my marketing. I was in international situations. My TBM brand brought me to Switzerland, brought me to Dominican, Canada. It just brought me all around the world. But then in 2018, after I got done scouting with the Cardinals and coaching, I wanted to go full time. See, up until that point, even in 2015, I was still looking for work to be able to supplement my income. But in 2018, I said, man, I think my brand is big enough, especially with me wanting to open up, that I can go full time working for myself. If I could just really ramp up my work and do what I need to do, I believe that I could sustain myself financially finally. So in 3 years, 2018, I jumped off the cliff and I started flying, bro. I mean, for real, in 2018, it was a leap of faith. That's what I referenced. It was a leap of faith. You have to take that leap. I had all my wings together. I was looking at them. I did a check. So I hopped off and I started flapping. And here's TBM. But at the same time, in 2018, I started the softball motivator brand as well, because a lot of softball families and coaches and parents were like, can you do that on our side too? Because our girls need the same type of encouragement. And I stayed away from softball out of respect, because I didn't want to be looked at as another baseball guy trying to throw them in the bunch and to say, hey, man, it's the same thing. So I stayed away. But too many people started reaching out saying, yeah, I get that, but they need that message too. They need to know about routines, approaches, and what they should do and what scouts are looking for, all that kind of stuff. Just only thing you have to do is just not say boys, just say girls. Don't say ladies. Don't say men, say ladies. And I said, okay, well, if you put it that way, then I guess I can. So I started off with the brand, and the brand just took off, man. TSM was like, boom, off and running. I got softball organizations say, come on out, join the TSM family. Let's do this. So 2018, then we just kept running the play. It's just like we've been cramming ISO down the middle as a football analogy. Been cramming ISO down the middle, handing it off to the running back. We've been getting 6-7 yards of carry ever since 2018. So I got Marshawn Lynch running the ball. I'm not going to throw a play action on the 2-yard line right now. I'm just going to keep running the same play and score a touchdown, right? But other than that, man, now where we're at, I guess it's safe to say now, I am a positive rap artist. I do music. I stumbled across that, I stumbled across that back in 2015. I was bored one day. I didn't want to play Call of Duty. And I've always been musically inclined, but not a rapper. That's somebody else in my family. That wasn't me. But I thought it would be cool to just come up with a song and drop that sucker on iTunes. I did. I put it on iTunes, and I only let my followers know on Instagram. That's all I did. I didn't cram it down their throat. I might have put 2 posts up about check out this new song, A Message to My Haters by CJ Beatty. I made it myself, dude, over an iPad. I bought Music Studio. It was $15.99 in the App Store. I created my own music and went inside the studio. Didn't even have the instruments. My man was asking me for the track outs. And I was like, the track outs? What do you mean? You need to? Yeah, the instruments, so I can mix it down. I said, man, I ain't got nothing but the instrumental. Is that fine? He said, so you're going to rap over? That's fine. I can clean it up as much as I can, but it's just a 1 track at this point. So I put that song out there, man, and my followers, I guess, loved it, and the baseball community loved it. And I looked in my back office. My account had just under $1,000 in there in 2 months, and I was like, "Whoa, okay. Well, if that's the case, then I'm gonna get out here and rap some more." And so I just started rapping baseball music. Now I have some softball music, and ironically, the softball music is flying faster than the baseball music right now. It's my number 1 and number 2 song on Spotify. So, but to wrap it all up, man, I guess I classify as a serial entrepreneur. My company has evolved. It's not just TBM TSM now. TBM and TSM are their own brands, and they're in the umbrella of the Motivator brands, because now we have baseball, softball. We're getting ready to introduce golf. Getting ready to introduce football. We Beatty Enterprises now owns those brands. I have a full team. I own a social media brand management company called Socially Global 365. I own a trucking company. And I'm sure there's other things that I'm failing to mention what we do, but that's why I call myself a serial entrepreneur, because if it makes sense, I'm running it. I'm running that thing, man. So that's in a nutshell. I know it was long-winded, but that's everything, bro.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, you're an author too, no?
Oh, man, I forgot. I got a book and notebook out there right now, man, and it's running pretty good, man. So I'm an author.
I think all this is dope. It's like, because it's like, I resonate with it just because it's like similar to like kind of what I've been doing, just like building different kind of brands and things like that, and building my brand, and then like putting it all together. Even like I'm still working on kind of like connecting all the dots with all the things I'm doing too, and it's just dope to to see and hear all that. And that's what I was going to ask you too. Like, are you still doing it like all by yourself, or do you have people working?
Oh no, dude! Like everything that I got now, I definitely could be doing it by myself. I have a beautiful team, man. I have a COO, a CMO. I had to hire an executive assistant 3 months ago. She goes on flights with me to places to make sure that I'm in order. I have a media team, media department. I got about one full-time, 2 part-time in the media that's helping me with content when I go places. So yeah, we got a squad now, man. Hey, it's not that little guy back in 2015 that said, "Hey, man, I think I want to do." It's like, nah, this is a whole enterprise now, man.
Yeah, you don't have a podcast, right?
No, I don't have. I had one. Me, my wife, me and my wife started the Loop Zone podcast over COVID, like during that COVID area when we was in home quarantine, and I said, I guess this will be a good time for people to just hear me. So I started it then, but then when the quarantine regulations lifted or something like that, we disbanded it and got back to our everyday lives. But it was pretty cool. So now what I have with my people are calling them mini podcasts on my Instagram page that I'm putting out there, that's been going pretty well. So I guess I'm a backwards hustle that to build up my fan base for it, and then just launch. Bam! This is Beatty's podcast.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the biggest thing are the clips, so it's like you're already that's the main thing anyway. So it's like, yeah, you just have to do it backwards.
Yeah. I guess I'm doing it kind of backwards. You know what I'm
saying? Yeah. And then tell me about, like, I know you've done like a bunch of motivational speeches and things. Like, is there any ones that like stick out, and is there anywhere that you still want to talk that you haven't talked yet?
I had an opportunity where I was in the running. It's crazy. I mean, I'm gonna say call it what it is. I don't know why I didn't, but I would love to, do it just to cross off the list. I would love to do a TED Talk. I love it. I mean, I was close to do a TEDx. It wasn't even a TED Talk. It was a TEDx, and they didn't select me. I was like, "Dang!" Like, well, okay, hold up. I didn't think that I had it in the bag, but I'm over here like TEDx is, more local. Locals, I said, man, who in the triad within a 30-mile radius did you choose over me? And I think I'm, doing what I'm doing from a professional speaking standpoint. Maybe they didn't want a professional speaker. Maybe they said we wanted maybe my story was lame. I don't know. But I was like, dang, when I found out I didn't get selected for the TEDx, I was like, ouch. Okay. Well, I don't know what it was, but I would love to do a TED Talk. Pick up something. I think that's a stage that would be awesome to take to. But as far as speakings, man, I mean, just anywhere, man. I genuinely, Paul, I love speaking to people, and I love helping people be successful. So whether that's speaking to the New York Yankees, whether that's speaking to the doctors in New York at this retreat for doctors, I mean, I don't care. I just love speaking motivation into people and helping them believe more into themselves.
Yeah, no, and yeah, uh, I think that's like something like you kind of just reminded me of just like the TEDx thing. It's just like the 30 under 30 thing still kind of got me that I didn't get it because like I just saw some people that I was just like, dang, like I've been doing this just like way longer and stuff, but it's
Uh-huh.
whatever because it's just like then that just motivated me more. Even though I don't
Yeah.
need motivation, but like there's still like little things that still motivate me. And like I remember actually I sent you the shirt and the chip on my shoulder. Like I don't think that's ever gonna come off me. Like
No. Jay-Z said it best, man. You can't take the hustle out of me. You know, he's a billionaire, and he's like, I'm always going to be a hustler. I'm always going to grind. You can't turn the grind off. You know, and that chip, you got a chip on your shoulder. I got a chip on my shoulder. My chip came and grew real big whenever the St. Louis Cardinals released me as a player. Like when they released me as a player, I grew a big chip on my shoulder because I was like, you know what? They released a player that the world will never see again because I'm going to come back a monster. But I'm actually, especially as a businessman, a father, a communicator, and a motivator that I am today, I actually owe the St. Louis Cardinals because that chip produced this mental monster for success. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed that level of adversity to hit me to build this empire that I'm building. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed that punch in the gut. I needed that rug pulled out from under me for me to be able to become this savage for success that I've become. Because bro, I'm a savage, but it was kick started when I got released unconditionally. I was like, yo, what? You're saying I'm not good enough, but you didn't give me a damn opportunity. But then it's like, okay, that fire, like it was like seriously, that fire was like, yo, I'm about to go in. And that's really how I give my motivation these days when I'm talking. I speak from that fire, that underdog standpoint, and that's what people go after.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. What advice would you give? I'm sure you do this all the time, but like, what's your go to advice for kids trying to get that D1, D2, D3 scholarship?
Separate yourself from everybody else, man. And what everybody else is doing, you need to go the other way. You know, create your own path. But if I had to say what trumps that as my one advice, grow your minds, man. Read books. I know it might not sound the best, but trust me, when you start reading a good book, it's going to be tough to put it down. It's going to become your friend. And then in return, your friend is going to bless you with better vision, better mindset. And that's going to in return attract the right people in your life. I didn't understand that until later in my career, but that's why a lot of the success that I'm having right now is coming from mental toughness. It's coming from associating myself with the right people, leadership, and reading, growing your mind, and all of that, man. Like I'm doing all this with no degree. You know, end up being. I mean, eventually I'm gonna become a multi millionaire, a big philanthropist, and give away a lot of money and do all this kind of stuff. And the education is something that I bought at a Barnes and Nobles, and what life gave me, and what asking questions has given me. They'd be like, "Oh man, where did you go to school?" Yeah, the Streets University, Barnes and Nobles University. You know, Barnes and Nobles. I mean, like the library. You
Uh,
know, like
we need
what?
that. We need that Barnes and Noble deal for you.
Yeah, for real. Barnes and Nobles University is where I went. God.
You ever, you ever, you ever seen like the intros in the NFL, like when they say where they went to college?
Yeah, Barnes and Nobles University. You're like Barnes and Nobles University. It's like, yeah,
That'd be,
that would be awful. Everybody be like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, yeah, man, they got a lot of educational components. They got different classes in there. They got a cooking class in the back corner. They actually got restrooms with a water fountain back there in the back too. And most of them have Starbucks in the middle in their food court.
I'm dead. Oh my god, yo, that's an ad right there. Like they need to hire you to run that. Like that. Imagine you all dressed up serious and you're in Barnes and Noble saying that. Like just being dead serious. Yo, we got cooking class in the back.
Yeah,
We got food over there too. You swipe your card.
yeah, just swipe your card, whatever it is. Have Barnes and Noble points. I mean, they have it all, man. And if you get here early enough and nobody hawks it, they got a beanbag section for you to be able to take naps.
Oh, you go back to kindergarten too.
Yeah, for real.
Anyway, are you ready for some fun questions?
Yeah, man. What you got?
All right, what's your favorite thing to do when you're not working?
Ooh, I like streaming movies, bro. I like streaming movies, and yeah, I just love it. Like I watched Blue Streak the other day with Martin Lawrence. I was like, ooh, that was a classic. So I love streaming movies, man.
All right. Who was your favorite baseball team growing up and player?
It was the Yankees, and Derek Jeter was my guy. Of course, when I was very young, 8, 9 years old, Ken Griffey Jr. was my guy. Growing up, hearing people like the tail end of Wade Boggs when I was 5 or something around that age. Wade Boggs. I think then I remember growing up these names, just growing up and my dad saying, watch these guys hit. Jeff Bagwell, see how he crouches down with 2 strikes. And my dad was a big Pete Rose fan, but my biggest two was Ken Griffey Jr. and Derek Jeter.
Gotcha. What about is there a ballpark that you haven't gone to yet that you want to see a game?
Ooh, a ballpark that I haven't gone to that I want to see a game. Yeah, I want to go to Fenway. I think that going to Fenway will be pretty cool. Been to the New Yankees. I've seen a lot of the other ballparks, but I have not been to Fenway.
I've been to Fenway. Yeah, it was cool. It's like very very old.
Yeah, and I think it's just the nostalgia of growing up, seeing it, and I think, but the best time to go to these baseball fields is in the heart of playoffs. And that atmosphere in any ballpark in playoffs is just like it buzzes.
All right, last one. Let's do who would you want to do a jersey exchange with as like active player, any active player right now, and then all time?
I would love to do a jersey exchange with Mike Trout. I mean, for real, he would be my guy. He was in my draft class in 2009. So I got my Mike Trout story on how I thought he wasn't good at all. Yeah, I was that guy. But realistic, I was just hating because he went first round in my draft and I got picked in 26. Yeah, let's just say I got my pom poms for Mike Trout now.
And what about all time?
All time, the reason why I chose 44, Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron. That's Hammer and Hank. That's why I'm CJ Beatty 4-4. I wore those fours after him, man.
All right, CJ. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and could you let the listeners know where they could follow you and how they could book you?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Come rock with me. I'm on Instagram, CJ Beatty 44, Beatty 44. All you gotta do is go up in the search, type CJBE, and when that blue check mark pop up, you already know what's happening. Just go ahead and put me on there, man. Follow me, daily motivation. If you want to book me and learn more about getting me as a speaker, just go to cjbeatty.com and you'll be able to click the booking tab, and one of my representatives will get back with you very soon.